Yes, it
Okay.
has already started.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So, Arturo, I give you the floor.
Okay, thank you, Noemi. Good morning, everyone. I will share my screen. Okay, can you all see it? Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, let's start then. I will explain you, as Noemi said, what we do at the Energy Office about especially focusing on the socio-energy audits and the provision and installation of efficiency kits. Okay. First, about the contents. Everything is around the activity of the Energy Office, the socio-energy interventions that we do. So first, I will do a little presentation about the Energy Office, especially focusing on the right to energy area. Then speak about the intervention protocols that we have, and giving more detail about the social energy audits, the micro-efficiency kits, and how it all fits on the WELLBASED program. So first of all, this is the Energy Office, our physical venue to attend citizens in energy matters for every citizen. It is managed by our foundation as part of the municipality, and it is located in one of our target neighborhoods for the project. And in the future, we will launch 2 more energy offices in other 2 neighborhoods. We expect them to have it launched by the end of this year and the beginning of the next one. And well, you will have the opportunity to visit the space at the consortium meeting next month. And first of all, we have four areas of activity in the Energy Office. We have first right to energy, which is the more related one with our project. Another one about energy efficiency and refurbishment and energy renovation of buildings. Other one about renewable energy. And the final one about energy transition, which is more focused on the efficiency plans on the educational centers. We have 5 full-time workers, 2 architects, 1 social worker, and 1 environmental educator, as well as 1 administrative. And the Energy Office is managed by 1 coordinator from the contracted company, because the management of this office was contracted by public tender. And we have 1 technical officer from the foundation, also on the day-by-day activity. Focusing on the right to energy area, it is aimed at giving advice and support, especially for energy vulnerable households. As said, we give advice and support on topics related with energy poverty, such as access to social bonus, emergency situations, payment management. We also offer trainings for small groups, also trainings especially for social services professionals, NGOs. We create and disseminate explanatory guides and materials as the ones that you can see on the right side of the slide. We coordinate with social services and other social entities to have so we can have contact with the more deprived cases, so we can help. We have interventions in homes at risk of vulnerability and energy deprivation, and our interventions are planned in 3 steps. A first one is a social energy audit, then a second one giving tailored advice and custom efficiency kits, and finally performing a follow-up and evaluation of the intervention. The general objectives are to improve energy efficiency and comfort conditions in these vulnerable households, reducing the amount of income that they spend on energy supplies, and thus tackling energy poverty by empowering in energy matters. I will share with you some figures from last year. We had 124 people attended only in this area, from which 84 started a comprehensive intervention program, the 3 steps program intervention that I said. But initially, we give advice and support on anything that they need. Then we offer this comprehensive intervention, but not all of them accept to go through this. So from these 84, only 23 made it to the second step, let's say, to have the intervention kit. So we have this We see this well-based project also as an opportunity to improve the engagement. The origin of participants are 82% derived from social services, and the rest they come from other social entities or by own decision. We have estimated the household savings. We have around 200 euros annual savings for punctual interventions and up to 300 euros for comprehensive interventions. And finally, this year we had this Right to Energy Week, in which we offered a social bonus workshop, and we made a joint webinar with our local working group on energy poverty in Valencia. Let's get to the core of the interventions. We have an individual intervention plan, which is designed in 3 steps. First, about resources. From all our workers, we have 2 workers dedicated to deploying these interventions. Our social worker is in full-time dedication, and one of the architects, as an energy efficiency expert, is spending part-time dedication. The first step will be that the interested participant contacts with our social worker to fix a date in the energy office. We ask the participant in advance to bring their last energy bills, especially electricity and gas, and a list of invoices from the year before the intervention. During this date, the social worker explains and provides with a document describing the foreseen intervention in three steps. And then the social worker passes the socio-energy questionnaire, what we call socio-energy audit, to the participant. In this moment, we do a first assessment, the social worker does it, on the socio-energy situation of the participant. So it can lead to immediate actions related with energy supply contracts and issues such as the entitlement of the bills, the payment plans, supply cuts, claims. Then on the second step, once we have passed the questionnaire, the answers are analyzed to design a personal intervention plan with specific actions. These actions can include bill optimization, social bonus request, behavioral changes, custom advice on efficiency measures, and provision explanation of the energy efficiency kit. The intervention plan has 2 sections. That's a document which is fulfilled first by the social worker, first social part, and then a second part from the technical side, developed by the energy efficiency expert, which includes general tips plus custom advice, specifically for their case. The third step is to perform a follow-up and evaluation, another small questionnaire, to estimate the savings on energy, money, and carbon emissions. And also we pass satisfaction surveys so we can improve our interventions. About the socio-energy audit, it consists on a questionnaire to obtain valuable social, economic, and energy data to design the intervention. It has different sections. First, a personal data with name, address, contact details, age, gender. Then a second one about social and economic data, which is about household composition, the tenure status of dwellings, educational background, the average monthly income, the average total expenditure of the household, and the percentage which is dedicated to these basic supplies. Another section is on comfort and energy. We ask for scales on the subjective feeling of comfort on both hot and cold temperatures. We ask about the skills on energy issues, if they feel that they are skilled enough and they have the knowledge to manage contracts and know everything related with energy. If they have difficulties for paying energy bills, and also knowing about if they are beneficiaries from the social bonus of not. Then another one about appliances and energy sources. We ask for the sources of energy in the household. About gas, we ask for the kind of services, if they have it for domestic hot water, for the kitchen, for both, known. And then both for electricity and gas, we ask for the supplier company, the average expenditure, and the last invoice. We also ask about consumption habits in kitchen, laundry, telecom, and leisure, specifically about the appliances that they have and the times of use regarding at what exact times and hours of the day, the duration, the frequency. And we do the same for equipment for heating, cooling, and domestic hot water, type of appliances, energy sources, and times of use. We have another small section about health, asking about mobility, self-care, daily activity, well-being, self-perceived health, and physical and mental health. So, as conclusions from the socio-energy audit, the socioeconomic data helps us first to assess the available aids and subsidies, and if they have the right to social bonus. Consumption habits let us suggest behavioral change to reduce energy and money expenditure. Asking about sources of energy, heating and cooling appliances, it helps us find potential inefficiencies and propose alternatives. And just to remark that every collected data is important, so we have a broad picture of the energy poverty situation in our context. I will speak now about the components that are part of our energy efficiency kit. The cost is about 50 euros, so it's not too expensive. And these are micro efficiency kits, so we can reduce energy consumption at households, and also it's a tool to educate on the importance of good habits. First, we have a mechanical time programmer to adjust the consumption schedules for different elements, especially for water heating, electric water heaters, which are often connected 24 hours, and it's not necessary. And as well as for tackling phantom consumption, as well also in combination with the standby elimination power strips. The power strips also allow us to disconnect elements connected to it, eliminating the risk of generated unwanted permanent consumption. It also has the kit LED light bulbs to replace the existing light bulbs with others using LED technology, which is less consuming. And we have weather strips, both for window sealing and for door sealing. The window sealing has to adapt to different window typologies, if they are folding or sliding ones. Both can reduce as much as possible episodes and potential risk of unwanted air currents. And we're adding soon also power meters, small power meters, so we can help participants to identify their top consuming devices and to give a number about phantom consumption, which is more educational than really reducing efficiency, improving efficiency, sorry. And finally, just to say that the energy kits are now installed by participants themselves. We have to adapt this approach with COVID restrictions. And we keep home visits only for particular cases in which we have a difficulty for diagnosing the high consumptions only with the social energy audits, or if we see that they have limited skills for doing the installation. And finally, we'll talk about how this all fits on the WELLBASED program and the adaptations that we will have to do. We will adapt the existing protocols to the WELLBASED program. About resources, we, the foundation, will hire 2 workers exclusively for deploying the WELLBASED intervention program, because the energy office has to keep running and they have to offer advice and support also in punctual interventions, which are not included on this comprehensive program that the WELLBASED is. We have to coordinate with energy office current activity, but we will take advantage of the existing information and training materials as well as the software tools. About the questionnaires, we will merge the WELLBASED questionnaires provided by AMC with the energy office one, including energy-related topics. And for recruitment, we will offer the WELLBASED program to the cases derived from social services. Also, we will launch a local information campaign, contacting with relevant stakeholders, and create the Citizen School of Right to Energy brand with contact details and dedicated website only for the project. And we will adapt also the intervention protocol. How? We will try to have an all-in-one home visit to optimize time and resources. On this first home visit, we will include the consent form explanation, perform the first WELLBASED questionnaire, including the socio-energy audit, identifying already potential efficiency measures, and then provide and install efficiency kit elements. Then afterwards, with all the collected information, we will provide with this personal intervention plan, including specific measures, and we will complement all this intervention with collective trainings on several related topics during what we plan to be monthly meetings with all participants. And that's all from my side. I will share with you the specific questionnaire. It's in Spanish, but I think it could be useful for you. And that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Arturo. A lot of information. So if anyone has a question or wants Arturo to repeat some of it, feel free to ask, please. Okay. Otherwise, we can continue with Cohen, and you can also ask questions after. Okay, so Cohen, I think you are here, right? Cohen? No, he's not here. Okay.
He is here, but I don't think we can hear him.
He's with Caroline. Yeah.
Yeah, he's there. It's just that we cannot hear him.
Okay. Why? I mean,
I don't know. Maybe they are trying to sort the problem out.
Okay, okay.
But we can see them that they are trying now.
Okay. Okay, we have a question. Arturo?
Yeah, is this?
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
So,
the question is from
how many households are you visiting?
nowadays just
Meanwhile,
one or two per month, Hans. Very little.
Oh, dat is het ene ding, ja. Ja.
Okay.
Sorry,
Okay.
you have a question?
Wat je zegt. Ja, hij is even bezig.
Sorry, Marit from Jaldo. I do have a question.
Okay.
Do I understand correctly? Is that you already are performing? You have already recruited persons and already are spreading energy kits?
Yes, but this activity was launched like 2 years ago, and we will adapt it to the WELLBASED program.
Oh, I see. So it's not within WELLBASED already, actually.
Yes, we will adapt it.
I've got one more question also about the efficiency kit. Have you also calculated how much it reduces? So how much energy people actually save to convince people to install the energy kit? I mean, there's light bulbs in it. We have the same discussion here at our site. How many light bulbs do you involve, and what is it gaining for people?
Okay, I can ask this detail to my energy efficiency expert, but the estimation is that if we perform a comprehensive intervention, including the energy efficiency kit, it is 100 euros annual savings more. Not only with light bulbs, okay, also with behavioral change.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, every article should have an efficiency and also in money wise. So that's my question. Did you calculate that, and how much does it reduce? Well, that's good. Thank you.
Okay, I think this will be also addressed by the next presentation, maybe. So, okay, I think it's clear. It's great, Arturo, that you can upload this questionnaire, even if it's in Spanish, I think, because it's very long, but maybe with Google Translator or something, it can be of value for you. Okay, Cohen, so you can start. Thank you.
Yes. Apologies for the sound difficulties. I just came back from holidays, so my brain has to start up again a little bit. So forgive me. Yeah, thanks Arturo for your presentation. I hope that one of the effects will be that because you will have more visits at home with people, there will probably be more people getting the advice compared to the 80 people that had the first step and 23 who had the second. So I think that's already interesting to see the difference in that one. I'll just share my screen. So the very short presentation that I want to give is just an example of the previous research that we did a few years ago. Many of the elements that I will present cannot be, let's say, copy-pasted for WELLBASED. So this is just an example of some of the type of information that you can retrieve, and I hope that some of them might be interested for you to think about and see how you can implement them yourselves. And one other thing I wanted to mention is how we want to help you monitor your progress. So this specific webinar is about energy saving actions, but I just wanted to mention that we, Caroline and also Ruben and me, in the coming year, when the pilots will start with their interventions and the monitoring will start, TNO will help you. So we will have structural meetings with you every 4 weeks with you individually to talk about your progress. And we also want to have set up mutual learning community. So these types of webinars, but perhaps more periodically, so we can share our progress and we can share questions that you have and also share best and worst practices of you. So you can also help each other. And we will also think about how is it what is a efficient way of periodically reporting the progress. So it's something we will start developing in the coming weeks. Also, of course, with, for example, Naomi and Arturo. And we'll have some periodic meetings with the WordPax 3 and 4 leaders to make sure that the evaluation is in line with what we want to collect, of course. Having said that, the research that I wanted to show you is a Dutch research that has had 3, let's say, main questions. So if you want to combat energy poverty, what type of interventions will lead to behavioral change? How much do they contribute to energy efficiency, measured in euros and kilowatt hours? Could also be gas or other elements. And what are key success factors and pitfalls? And I wanted to give you a few examples of how we did that research. Ah, yes, it was nationally funded, not very relevant for this. Okay, there were 4 pilots that we looked at, and there were different types of research that we did. So for some of these, we had smart meter data, we had a participant survey, we did in-depth interviews with project managers, we had focus groups with energy coaches to talk about their experiences, and we had participatory observations, which means that we as researchers had the opportunity to join the energy audits to see how the information transfer is to households, and to also feel and see and look how an advice is, instead of just seeing, let's say, the numbers. And we also had in-depth interviews with households, also to get a feeling about how effective these types of interventions are. So this is more of an overview of well, what we did and for which of the different projects. And just to give an example, my apologies for not translating this into English, but if you have a look at the left column, you see desk research at the top. If you follow that column down, you'll see, for example, the survey of participants, and many of those were actually done by telephone. And because of that, we could have quite a good research example and ask them about their behavior change. As you can see, for example, for one of them, we had 300 interviews done through telephone, or you could say surveys. Isabel, you had a question about how much can you save for each interventions? Well, one of the things that you can see here, again, look at the left column, these are the different types of energy audits and behavioral change elements that can, for example, save gas, electricity, and how much it can save in euros. So if you have these types of overviews, you can calculate the amount of energy savings if you know what people actually made for changes in their home or changed from their behavior. I can't promise that we can make this type of overview for all the interventions for all the pilots, but at least we can see if we can make some of these also suitable for our WELLBASED project, of course. So we'll have more of a common savings, yeah, how could you say that, overview, but that's something to discuss further on, I guess. Another thing we did, and that is more related to what Lucy already presented several weeks ago, was about what is the intention of the project and what does it want to do and what is the actual goal. So we looked at the different projects and wanted to see what type of intervention is it and what does it need to achieve. So for example, in Rotterdam, they were really keen on getting good education in order to have households being empowered and change their behavior. And the main goal was to prevent the disconnection of people and to prevent people getting into debts. Now, I was really happy to see Lucy's presentation because that's something, so we are actually doing it WELLBASED to see what the actual goal is of these projects, and we should try to connect that in monitoring our progress as well. Just an example of the data we collected. So we went along with energy coaches to see how they did their audits. We had 64 telephone interviews. Those were done 1 to 6 weeks after the energy audit. And we had a focus group with the energy coaches, which was also very insightful. Now, what are the types of things we got out of these survey results? So, for example, we found out there were a lot of social housing tenants, and the average appreciation of the audit was quite high. So people really appreciated it that energy coaches came into people's home and took the time to, let's say, really look at what is a personal advice for energy savings for their home. And many of them reported to be aware of their monthly energy costs. So, well, I think with the presentation of Arturo, these are the types of elements that you could also find, of course. So did we find anything on behavior change? We found that 24% did report behavioral change, and around 17% were planning to take measures or to change their behaviors. So if you ask these types of questions, you can report about these types of behavioral changes that people want to do or not. I'm not sure if we can have these types of detailed information in WELLBASED, but I think we should try and see if we can for some elements at least. Another example was one which is pretty good in the Netherlands, actually, where energy coaches were professionally trained. They were first unemployed, then got, let's say, upgraded to being a full-time energy coach. And they also had a box of energy savings. And what they did is they not only gave like an energy advice, but they also showed how to install certain materials, and they sometimes also installed it themselves. And they also, after each visit, wrote down the elements that they themselves installed and the type of advice that they give, so that you have a structured list for each household on what type of energy savings are presented and what types are already installed. So you know if you combine it with the actual savings and euros, you have the potential savings for each year. In the case of Utrecht, it was 210 euros of potential energy savings. We are actually working now again with this same company, also on getting the actual energy saving results, but that's perhaps for another time. There are different types of actually measuring the energy savings. So you have different types of questionnaires. When do you ask it? So there is the challenge of getting the right amount of energy savings collected, or at least the savings, yeah. What we also did, you don't have to read this complete text, but what we did for several of the households that we visited was to write down an anonymized, let's say, picture of the person that we saw. So how does he live or she? What are the biggest challenges in his or her life? How does it relate to energy saving? And what it does, it gives a very good qualitative image of the challenges that people have. And of course, with the focus groups that we had, that's already partly covered now, and also with of course all the work that Lucy will do, we also have this covered. But I just wanted to show you this to give an idea on what else is possible. So one of the things that we got out of these surveys is that you can see, for example, if you look at the first row, for example, is how many people did actually replace their old light bulb for a energy efficient light bulb. So 53% did. And then you can see, okay, how many euros does it save a household? So if you have these types of overviews, you can quite easily calculate that for a whole pilot, of course. So that should be one of the things that we can have a look at to see how pilots can use these types of information to use and report to monitor progress and results. That's not very relevant. So that was my presentation.
Okay. Thank you very much, Cohen. I think it's super interesting as well. I really like that it's, yeah, you have done a very in-depth research and also including a lot of qualitative aspects, which I think are really, really important also to gather really the results of the intervention.
Mm.
And yes, so well, I really hope that in WELLBASED we can gather some this kind of data as well, also with the help of Lucy and the qualitative interviews. And yes, we have to think how we could adapt all these things, all this knowledge, and if we can adapt some of this to WELLBASED.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I'm thinking that, for example, well, if you have this table of conversion about the savings of each measure, it would be really, really interesting to calculate this. But of course, I mean, for each pilot, but of course, this implies having a monitoring on of the measures implemented by each participant. So I don't know if this is viable in every pilot, because of course it's, well, it's more work and it's, yeah. And then with your table, if we manage to do this with your table of conversion, we could have another measurement of the savings. So this would be really good. But yeah. Also, I am, yeah, it caught my attention that the amount of savings are similar than the ones that Arturo said, around 200 euros. So, yeah.
Yeah, and the challenge there is, I think, is that's the potential energy saving, right? So what you actually want to know is what are the actual savings, and the most perfect setup would be to ask that, for example, a month after the audit and a year after the audit, for example. But that's also something we should see how pilots want to measure their interventions, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, we can address maybe this just after with my presentation, when we can give also the space for pilots to share their preferred way to measure energy. So does anyone have a question for Cohen?
I have a question about, you mentioned a few behavioral change, but do you have tools to help people with that? Because it's very difficult to actually get started.
I think one of the main challenges of realizing behavioral change is that you can't assume that a single advice will create behavior change. So you need to get several ways of getting multiple advices for a household, or at least a repetition of the advice. And the best way is doing that personally. So if someone could come back and see after a year how he's doing, or after half a year. And the example of the Utrecht case, they did that in several ways. So they printed out the advices, and so someone could put it somewhere. So you have that visually somewhere in your home. That's one. They got newsletters every 2 months of the energy advice company, saying, hey, how are you doing? If you still have questions, just call us or email us. And they got a survey also a year afterwards. So they did 2 follow-up surveys. Now, I'm not saying that behavior change will, because of that, always happen. But another one is we found out is that the finding the, I'm not sure if it's a proper translation, but the intrinsic motivation of people or a household. So not saying you can save 100 euros, but if you say, for example, if you save enough, if you start saving energy as a family, you might be able to take a holiday or go to the movies as a family, which is a very different type of motivation compared to just mentioning the type of the amount of euros that you can save. So these types of very personal advice can also help behavior change, I think. Maybe there are other elements.
Well, yeah, I'm thinking that you also can in some way involve other family members in saving energy. I don't know, like make it a challenge, so that not only one person is involved in saving energy, but if your family also involve the children in it, for example.
And I've with several households that we visited, we also found out that people know or read about the energy transition. They don't know all about it. They don't know the complete picture, but they also they're worried about it, or they know some of the elements. So it's also a way of getting them at least comfortable with the idea that they are doing the basics at the moment, and that someone is helping them at least in the start of this energy transition. So it's also about building trust also for the other steps that are related to the energy transition, I think.
Thank you.
Okay, Marite, your hand is up. I don't know if you have a question or it's the...
Yes, I do. Colin, there was a picture of another energy kit. Could you explain a little bit more what was included in this energy kit, if you know it, additionally to what was previously mentioned?
I think it contained the light bulbs, a shower, how would you call it, like an energy saving shower head. Yeah, don't know the proper term for that. The foil to put behind the how you call it, behind the Showerhead? Showerhead.
Radiators.
Radiators. Thanks, Daniel. Yeah. Behind radiators, we had this thing for you can put in the shower. It's called a timer, you know, like a.
Yeah,
My
timer.
English is a bit rusty. Yeah, timer.
timer.
Okay. Timer, foil. Oh yeah, and it had a card that you can give as a gift to someone you know to also get the energy advice. So in that way, they got a lot of actual additional responses actually, because people liked the advice and they gave it to their neighbors, who gave it to the neighbor. So it had a good social element in that. And there might be more, but I can look it up for you if you want. Yeah.
It would be great if you can upload your presentations, please, in the folder of the webinars, okay? And maybe Cohen, if you can include also the content of your efficiency kit or your energy box, it would be great as well, because I think they are very interesting ideas.
Okay, yeah, I will.
Thank you. Okay, any other question or comment? Okay, I will then continue with my presentation.
Oh, Hans says.
Hans, yeah.
Yes, hello. Thanks for the nice presentation, especially on these energy boxes. We, from in Holland, we already had several of these actions with these energy boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And what our conclusion is that it's very important to do that together with an energy coach. That's so.
Mm-hmm.
To speak to the people, to persuade them, and even to help them installing them. So at the moment we're preparing an activity, a very huge one. Koen knows about it. We got a national grant, and Helen got 1.7 million euros to spend on these energy saving measures on energy poverty. One of the things we are doing there too is this energy box, energy coaches again. But we are going to do that also. We also combine it with a kind of blockchain action where people get a digital wallet to spend money. So they get the money in a wallet. They can spend at the shop themselves, so they can choose their own energy saving measures. Because this box is very nice, but how many lamps will you put in? And what time of fitting do you use? And yeah, that's very difficult. So we are trying to change this, and it's kind of a pilot to see what energy saving measures will people buy at the store themselves.
That's a nice one, Hans. And do the energy coaches help people selecting the right?
Well, energy coaches are one of the things people can select from their wallet to make a reservation. So they can do both. There are people who can buy it themselves, and there are people that will get an energy coach which helps them with the measures. And we use a tool which is used by the municipality of Emmen in the Netherlands for a previous project. I can send you some information about it.
Yeah, it would be great. Yeah.
It's a very nice information, Hans. Thank you. So yes, if you can include it as well in the folder of the webinar,
yes,
so you can access them. Yeah, and also it can promote the local market, right? It's very nice. Okay, so I will continue with my presentation. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. If anyone has a question, please, Alba, if you can tell me, because I won't be able to see the chat. Okay, so I will focus on more quantitative aspects of the energy assessment. So just to be sure we are all on the same page, I remind that for the project in the evaluation work package, we have to measure, as specified in the grant agreement, the energy consumption. So in energy units, specifically kilowatt hours, and also the household income spent on energy. And this implies calculating or indicating how much has been spent. So we need the usage of energy, both in energy units and in monetary terms, okay? And this will allow the evaluation team to monitor the potential savings, the real ones, also compare intervention group and control group, and we can also do a comparison between countries and make some conclusions of the whole project. And this has to be reflected in the questionnaire, in the 4 questionnaires, at baseline, after 6 months, 12 months, and the follow-up 6 months after. And both for the intervention group and the control group. Okay, so as you know, I have sent a small questionnaire, a small survey to the pilots to know what do you think about a proposal of energy questionnaire. So the evaluation questionnaire sent by work package 4 has a specific question.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's Eliana. Is it only me or ours slides are not moving?
Not
No, I was
moving.
about to say that as well.
For you as well?
Yeah, I'm still on the first slide, energy assessment webinar, the title slide, and that's all. Nothing happens.
Okay, thank you for telling me. I don't know what happens. I will try. Okay, sorry. 1 minute. I will start again the presentation.
Anneciğim, ne haber? Müsait misin?
There is a mic that is not muted, please.
Nereden arayayım?
Could you mute your mic, please? Okay. So, can you see my screen now?
Yes, but we can see the presentation.
Okay, can you see the second slide now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the indicators that we have to specify in the grant agreement that we have to reflect, okay? What I was talking before, the energy consumption, both in energy units and in monetary terms, okay? So, yeah, I was saying that in the evaluation questionnaire, there is a part related to energy. So together with Work Package 4, with also TNO, with Valencia Clima Energía and ACDs, we have been thinking a little bit about this, how to frame this questionnaire in order to adapt for every context of each pilot, okay? And that's why we have asked for your feedback, because of course it changes a lot depending on the context, on the national context. So I remind you, this was the questionnaire we sent for the ones that maybe haven't seen it before. We were asking about how much energy has been consumed in the last 6 months, okay, in energy units. So of course, with a list of possible energy sources, there are some that are more easy, let's say, from the grid, but then others off grid, such as butane, bottled gas, wood products, charcoal, oil products, that might or might not be relevant in each pilot. Then, depending on which answer you have marked, depending on your case, you will be directed to a question to answer for the how much it has costed to you. Okay, so we will have in that way the energy unit and the economic unit. This questionnaire also contemplates the option that maybe the person does not know per month. So there is also a question regarding yearly, how much he or she has spent on energies. And okay, so that's it. Now I will share the answers that I have received from pilots. Okay, and then I will discuss some thoughts about it. I won't be able to give now like let's say instructions on how to do these measurements, because we are in the phase of gathering your feedback, and this is a process, an iterative process. We will gather your feedback, we will try to make another proposal or think of how to do it, and we will tell you again, and so on. Okay, so yes, so regarding the off-grid energy sources, what I was saying, are they important enough to be taken into account in this questionnaire? So Hirlen, Leeds and Obuda said that no, off-grid energy sources are not that important in their cases. So this is because most of their energy are from their grid. Okay, so probably for all, natural gas, electricity, and heat. Then Jelgava, Edirne, Skopje, and Valencia say yes, it's important and has to be taken into account. So in the case of Jelgava, most of them have central heating, but maybe occasionally they can use coal and oil products, so it can be worth asking. In the case of Edirne, they had received coal that is distributed by the state, and also they self-collect wood and waste. However, oil products and solar energy, probably not. I think solar energy, it's not very likely to be in any case. Then, in the case of Skopje, there is a district heating network, but the target population is likely to be outside this network. So probably they can have these mentioned off-grid sources. And in the case of Valencia, we think that bottled gas can represent an important share of the total consumption, okay, because it's more or less the 10%. And coal very rarely, from braziers, etc. Self-collected wood, here it's scattered, self-collected wood and off-grid panels, probably no. Okay, so this is the regarding the qualitative feedback, okay, the different issues that have been raised by all of you. I will tell them all, and then I will share my thoughts, okay? Okay, so I hope to have reflected all more or less what you have said, otherwise just tell me. So in the case of Hirlen, the questionnaire is too complicated for people, and we need to minimize burden for participants. I think we all agree in that point. In Jelgava, there can be problems with invoice frequency. So people might receive invoices not every month, but maybe 2 months, maybe after a year, depending also of source of energy. So maybe electricity, it's one frequency, gas is another. Okay. Then also participants can have agreed fixed payments with the company for a year. So they will pay exactly the same amount month after month. And then after the year, this amount is recalculated, and it would be compensated in the invoices, in the next invoices. So this, of course, represents a problem when we will feel the monetary expenditure monthly. Also, the potential subsidies that people receive. This point, we think it's really important to take into account and easily solve, let's say. So I think we are going to add a question in the questionnaire about this. Do you receive a subsidy, a bonus, like Arturo was saying that they do in Valencia? Also, central heating is, I think Jelgava proposed to include it as another category. Okay, this was not included in the first questionnaire, central heating as a category, because in Spain, central heating is always gas. But I have learned that in other countries in Europe, it's not like that. It can be a mix of energies. Sometimes it's wood, sometimes it's gas, and people don't know, of course, the source. And so, yeah, I think it would be also easy to add this central heating category for some of the pilots. And also, I can see that it's quite spread. There are several pilots that have these central heating, this way of heating as the most spread. Okay, and also that there can be different potential unit measures for off-grid sources. So we had proposed, for example, kilos of wood, and maybe some pilots there is another unit, it can be meters or whatever. So this can be addressed as well. Okay, in the case of EDIRNE, they say, okay, that people will be able to answer in monetary terms, but not so much electricity and gas volume in kilowatt hours. Also, it would be difficult to have the latest data, and that market purchases will not reflect all reality because of what we said before, that they have coal distributed by the state, and also that they make the self-collection of wood and waste. So this is a specificity that maybe we have to address specifically for EDIRNE, but we will take into account as well. In the case of leads, 6 months is too long because some people pay on a daily, weekly basis, and they propose to narrow to last month. This I will address in my next slide. Okay, I don't see it easy to just register last month invoice, and kilowatt hours are hard to understand, and also put the local currency. Yes, this, of course, each questionnaire will be adapted to each pilot that will translate it and put their own currency. In the case of Obuda, they say that the questionnaire could be redundant because they will collect consumption already with smart meters and receive their invoices. And in the case of Skopje, it's fine, and Valencia, it's fine. Okay, each one of you have answered also your preferred way to collect energy, but I prefer to go to my next slide, and then if needed, we will come back to this. Okay, so, well, I have to admit that after all this feedback, which I find really, really relevant, so thank you very much. But I was a bit overwhelmed, like, okay, how are we going to do this? Because, well, it's not easy. It's not easy, but I think we can find a way. So one first point I would like to say before all is that about the frequency of measurements, because we have thought of just making last month invoice as it suggested instead of monthly invoices. But we think that if we do that, if we have only the last month invoice, we would have too few and random data, okay? Because each participant will enter in a different month. You know that the recruitment spans 6 months. So one person can enter in August and another person can enter in February. So we would have really different data because it's so dependent, invoices and energy usage is so dependent on the period of the year that it will be, I think, impossible to compare or to have any interesting result. So that's my opinion. But of course, we will have to, well, think about it with work packet 4 thoroughly and see what we collect. But as I say, I think collect every month the data will allow us to have interesting and useful data. Otherwise, maybe, I don't know, it's not even worth it. But in any case, we see that it's a complicated questionnaire, as you have almost all pointed out, long and not hard to understand. And it appears very clearly to me that participants will need help and support to fill it. Okay, and also to minimize the burden for them. So these are the proposals, some suggestions, some of you have done, and also that I propose here. So one would be using smart meters or accessing energy providers. So this is what Obuda is going to do, and smart meters, and Valencia as well, probably accessing to energy providers. So this, of course, eases the task because the participant does not have to answer this. He wouldn't have to answer this part of the questionnaire. He could skip the energy part, and this data could be collected by a person working for WELLBASED and then transferred to the questionnaire. I don't know exactly how, but without involving the participant. Okay, so this, of course, would be a very easy way to do that. But of course, some pilot will not be able to do that. Okay, and also, for example, in the case of Obuda, they receive the invoices. So this is great because they will have the metering, the registration of energy measures, and also the invoicing, the bill. So no more information will be needed if there are no off-grid sources. But also, some idea that I liked very much is that monthly visits that we are going to do to take the health measurement can help gathering this data. Okay, and this has been suggested by Leeds and by Healing as well, I think. And of course, there will be different ways. So these people visiting at home, the participants, they could, for example, through the invoices, maybe they just can ask for them or collect them. In the invoice, you can see the usage and in the energy units and in monetary terms. I would say euros, okay, for simplicity. So in kilowatt hours and in euros. Also, it was suggested by Leeds to do meter reading. So this person could go to the, I don't know how it's said in English, the place where you can see the usage of gas or electricity and just note the value. Okay, and then ask for bills to have the euros measure. Another option, this was suggested by Hirlen, is to use a meter registration card. And I find this interesting. So as far as I have understood, the participant gets a card, and with a little training, he will register exactly the meters of electricity and gas each month. And then after 6 months, he could give these 6 cards to the person who will collect the information for the questionnaire, and it will be easier in that way to remind exactly which has been the consumption of each month. And of course, all these 3 options are reflecting the energy from the grid. And if you have off-grid energy that you think it's important to reflect, okay, the first slide I was presenting, then this has to be addressed, maybe in the questionnaire, maybe through another way, I don't know, to also know this information, okay? Maybe just asking questions, maybe asking tickets. So, as I say, I think this is very, very interesting. I see that if you go through this way, there would be a data collection previous to completing the questionnaire, okay, because the questionnaire, as I say, is every 6 months. So, and this is month per month. So every month there would be a new information to be collected. So I don't know exactly the best way to collect this information before uploading it to the 6 months questionnaire. So maybe the person visiting the home could collect it in an Excel file, or maybe it's possible to introduce it directly in the platform together with the other health data. If this is possible, it would be quite simpler. Okay, and yeah, and also of course we have the aspects that Cohen have just shared. That it would be very good to monitor which measures have been implemented in each home. So we are talking of that the monthly visit in this case would be more than just taking the health data. The person would be also in charge of see if the measures have been, the energy efficiency measures have been implemented, and also do this data collection about consumption. Okay. Well, and here I address more technical issues that have been raised, but maybe I think I'm more interested in knowing your views about all this. Okay, I will stop sharing. I hope it has not been too complicated, or that you haven't understood what I wanted to transmit. And I would specifically would like to know the views of the pilots about this data collection. Well, two things. One, if you think this data collection monthly would be viable for you through the person visiting the homes every month. And also, what do you think about checking the energy efficiency measures implemented at home, what Cohen shared? Okay, so I really would like to hear all the views of the pilots, and I think you are all here, the 7, so we can do a round if you want. Okay, so I can see Isabel, you have raised your hand, so you can be the first one if you want. Thank you.
From what we've seen and also discussed is that we are a bit worried because it's quite a lot of people that we have to 155. So I'm trying to see this in practice, and I think it's going to be a lot. So what we also wrote in the email is that we stated we think it's important to do as much as possible digitally, so we don't have to burden the participants, or we don't have to gain extra budget for people who are actually gonna do these home visits, because for 155 people in only the intervention group, not even the control group, we actually don't know how we're gonna do it yet. So we're quite looking for a way to get it done, and preferably digitally.
Okay, so in your case, Helen, you would prefer to do it digitally, right? Not to burden the participants, and you suggest as well the card metering. So this would be another option, right? If you don't go for the smart metering, maybe you can contemplate the cards registration.
Yeah, because I think, and I'm happy to hear how other pilots are going to do it. It's very time consuming to actually send people to homes to do that. And I really think that we won't get people to, and this is only one part of the WELLBASED where we have to send people into the field. So, I mean, there's other data collection needs to be done for the health measurements, etc. So we're trying to minimize the burden for the participants as much as possible, but also for the possibilities of our budget because we can't hire 10 people to do this. That's a bit our worry that we're looking at now.
Okay. So you're contemplating the smart meter option now, right? Which also suppose a budget, I guess, but yeah, you have to think about it. And smart meters are already at homes, Isabel, in your case? They are already installed?
All of them? Most of them. I don't think all of them, but pretty much. I look at Hans, I see him knocking. Most of them, but I think some people still haven't got access because it's not required yet.
Okay, so we'll have to ask energy providers. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Isabel. And what about the measuring, monitoring, checking if people have implemented energy efficiency measures at home? Do you think this is viable or it would be complicated? Do you know what I mean? So the people visit monthly, the participants?
If the measurements work and if people actually installed, what Hans was saying as well, we are trying to look for measures that are actually very low key and that people get support in actually implementing them so that you know upfront that they actually implemented stuff. Collectively, I would see a pro saying, okay, we've got a meeting with all the participants, but to do home visits, I'm not really convinced yet. And I preferably, we would like to see as much as possible during one home visit. So all the elements that we have to put into the WELLBASED project need to be done in one home visit. So if it's the home meters, whatever the savings are, health measurements, everything in one visit as much as possible.
Okay. Thank you, Isabel. Then you will keep us updated. Okay, Marite, I can see you have answered in the chat. Meter reading sounds good. It does not show if I have pet or not pet, like showing a bill.
May I add some comments also?
Yeah, we don't have to visit.
Okay. Yes.
Please,
that's what I meant, that this reading, this initial reading of a meter, if the meter is installed at home or very close to home, is very good because it doesn't, it's not so sensitive as a bill. Maybe in some cases, if I haven't paid it for 3 months and I maybe don't want somebody to see the number I owe to some company. And what we can usually, well, at least in case of Jalga, what we can do, if we know this initial reading, we can calculate also the amount of money which can be spent. But in this case, somehow, the person who is filling the form, and in our case, it will not be the person itself, but it will be the person like researcher going to home visits and filling this form. It may have some option to put this in this information later on, not only in this moment when he's taking the survey. And definitely we will not visit person every month. We don't have this option. And what I have thought about this 6 months cards, I'm afraid that most of people will lose them during half of the year. It's just technical question. You have so much information, you have some stack of papers, and then you lose it, and all the data are missing. Therefore, I think it's better if we go to these interviews after every 6 months. We can ask this person for last month's reading or today's reading, and we know this initial reading, and we can do this calculation for spend, and the amount which has to be paid, we can get usually this how much it pays, not the consumption, but how much the certain amount, for example, 1 kilowatt hour is paying, you can get from the company. Without like asking that you have to survey the flat all the time and receive this information from company on a monthly basis. I think it's like this combination should be. And regarding this energy consumption measures, energy saving measures which are implemented, I think we cannot force people to implement all these activities, because I think it's also important to check whether people are interested to implement these activities. Because in some cases you can give the person all stack of maybe Cohen can comment, you can give him full box of these devices and they're just put in a corner and person is not interested actually of using them. In some cases it's possible, and I think it's the question should be like this: have you implemented all the possibilities? Because it goes the same to the training. You cannot force people to go to training or fully completely use the knowledge they have heard in the training. I think it's also important to see if all these things has some, I don't know, it has to be two-way, like a two-way flow. You are giving and people are receiving. So I think we should check all this both ways. That's regarding intervention. So yes, we can include the question, have you implemented any? How many? Most of them or whatever, but we cannot force and ask them or ask them, why haven't you implemented this? They will feel guilty, and that's not good for the project, I think.
Yes, I understand your view. I mean, I also think it's something completely voluntary, and we don't want to force people or make them feel guilty at all. But yeah, we can collect their feedback in a way, I don't know, in a sensible way. And maybe we can use the expertise of the NO in this as well. And we can also have this evaluation of why people cannot, doesn't want to implement these measures. Well, it's interesting as well in a way.
Yes, because in this way you can go further and really you can do research on why people do not do it, even if they have a possibility. For example, go for training and do most of these things.
Yeah, exactly. So I hope this will be also with the qualitative surveys, this will be also gathered. And yes, could you summarize, please, so what you said before about how you would like to then do the energy measurement? So if I understood correctly, you would try also smart metering?
No, we don't have smart meters. We don't have budget for it, but well, we will do it through the surveys, and people will report. And what I think we have to ask them for this last reading on the first survey, so we get this basis, and later on we get this additional information on reading, but without cards, because these cards will be lost.
Okay, and you think they will be able to remind their consumption month per month?
No, we just take the reading, for example, in August when we start. Okay. He says I have consumption 400, okay, and after 6 months we go. He says, oh, I have 600. So we calculate the difference and we get the real consumption. Okay. And in this case, we also avoid this problem with this fixed amount every month. So we will see the difference in, for example, in a heating season on summer season.
Okay, so you will collect the meter readings every 6 months, right?
Yes, I think this is the best way and more precise way to get this information.
Okay, so we won't get monthly.
No,
Okay.
no. We don't have resources for it.
Okay. But for the bills, it's more likely that you will have them monthly.
No, we are not collecting bills in any way, and not looking at them even.
Okay.
We don't need it, because usually we will or maybe we will just look for bills only in a case if people do not have meters installed. But in most cases, people have these meters installed in their flats for gas and electricity, and so it's possible to take these measurements quite easy. But not through not through the company, but directly from a person, asking him to give us a reading.
Okay. That is clear. Thank you. Okay. I had see another hand. Well, different. Okay, sorry, I cannot see the names.
Fine.
Okay. Yeah.
It was just to say that we will try and do them monthly. We're hoping that a number of the people in the locations where we're going to do the intervention have smart meters installed already, because there's been a big push to have smart meters in the UK. So hopefully that will make things easier. So we'll aim for monthly. We'll just have to see how it works in reality. Wherever possible, we want to either do it digitally or get the tenant to do it. But there's some work to be done to encourage that and to train them in how to do that. Especially if they've got smart meters, that understanding of what was the last one, what is the next, and all that kind of thing. So that's how we will aim to do it where we are.
Sorry, Daniel, I couldn't get the main idea. How would you, please, could you speak a bit slowly?
Sorry. So
you just speak too well English. Sorry.
I'm hoping that in the majority of the flats where people are living, they will already have smart meters. So that should make things much easier. But if not, we'll have to do work with the tenants to get them to do the readings, and then we'll collect them.
Okay, thank you. Perfect. So, but again, if you do readings, you would just have the energy units.
Yes.
For monetary, for the pound units, we will need something like bills or invoices, or I mean, just the self-declaration of participants.
And some people where we're going quite possibly might have meters where you actually physically put money in. So we'll have to get them to keep a record of how much they're putting in. If not, we'll get access to bills.
Okay. And what about monitoring the energy efficiency measures implemented by participants? Do you see that viable?
Well, where there's a lot of work taking place in the property, so actually we'll know what's being done, because it's replacement windows and insulation being applied to the walls. So it's not so much up to the tenant to sort it out, it's we as the landlord sorting it out.
Okay, that's true. Yeah, you have one main energy efficiency improvement.
Yeah.
It's a bit different. Okay, thank you, Daniel. Okay. I don't know I think there are no hands raised. So, for example, what about Obuda?
Yes, so we are installing the smart meters. Some of it is already installed, so that will not be a problem for us. And we are also receiving the invoices. So I think this won't cause any problems for us. And it's also not a burden for the participants. And regarding the other question, I think it's it's already overwhelming for the participants that we are wanting to match data from them. But I think we can join some tasks together, so it might be able for us to monitor if they have done what we have asked from them. So it's
okay. Thank you, Barbara. And I have a question for you, because you say that there are no off-grid energy sources. You
yes.
answered this in the question, but I remember that in the previous deliverable, you told that there was a lot of airborne dust and like outdated stoves, and also a lot of solid energy fuel, domestic. So I don't know if this applies to a target population or not.
No, so it's not applicable for the target area, but it is true for the district itself. But this is not a problem in the targeted houses.
Okay, they have central heating, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you then, Barbara. Okay, so another pilot want to speak? Maybe Edirne?
Well, I was late for the meeting, so I'm terribly sorry. But I think the municipality will do it. So I don't know if there is a representative from the municipality. I couldn't see Özgür. So I just jumped in when I heard Edirne. But we didn't, I mean, I can say that we didn't discuss it deeply among us. If possible, we would love to collect it digitally because it's easier. So I just need to, we just need to discuss it in depth.
Okay, okay, thank you. Just one question. Do you see it viable to collect data through your monthly visits? If you don't know yet, it's fine, but just knowing if you already know the stakeholder that is going to go, maybe you know the time availability, or if it would be viable, just to have an idea.
It might be, but the only thing that I believe that it would be hard to collect the invoices from the community. That would not work because it gets lost and etc. So we cannot make them keep it and ask them keep it exactly for us. But it might be possible to do it during the monthly visits. But we have to check it with the Edirne municipality. But it's doable, I think.
Okay, okay. And regarding the self collection, I mean the energy, the off-grid energy sources, such as the self-collected wood, etc. I think maybe this is something very hard to measure, because how much it's very hard for the person to answer. So I was thinking that maybe we could approach this in a more qualitative way. So maybe here the important thing to know is, did you need to do this, to self-collect waste or whatever in order to heat yourself? Yes, no.
Well, we can ask them about how many times they did and how much. I mean, we have to see what kind of, because they might be using various kind of self-collected materials, from waste to woods and etc. And plus we have I mean, we can for sure know the number of coal bags of coal that they receive as social aid. So that would not be a problem. But much of the energy source that they use would be, I believe, I mean, this is my guess, for heating, it would be from either from social aid and off-grid sources. it wouldn't be from the grid. That's my experience, but we have to see. That's why we have to find a way to measure those off-grid sources, because it might be important in their consumption for heating, but not other for other
okay. Yeah,
purposes.
other uses. Okay, but
uses.
Yes, because then the smart metering wouldn't have much sense, right? Because what would you register with smart metering? I mean, electricity.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, I will see. I mean, because the municipality, as far as I know, the municipality is thinking of using smart meters, and I really don't know. We have to see. It would be half to half, and it might depend from household to household. But we cannot just dismiss. I know that we cannot dismiss the off-grid resources for heating.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe if they can have a regular support, I think this would be ideal. Like every month, someone goes there and collects the data that we decide now. But with this support of a person that know exactly what to ask, what they need.
Yeah. We have to think about it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, let's go for Skopje.
Hello, it's Emilia. Hello, everybody. Okay, what to say for Skopje? Skopje, I think it's a lucky partner that is going to be like a replicator partner in the project, and we are going to be happy because in the end we're going to see all the experience that you all have as a pilot in your areas, and we are going probably when we are going to realize the pilot. Because our focus group, as we mentioned before, it's a single parents, then we are going to take the best practice that you are going to realize on the field. For now, we are trying to see all the stakeholders that are going to help us to realize the project, because we don't have money for experts and etc. But it's the work done until now. It's from the city administration with what their knowledge are, and of course, Noemi is our supporter and helper in preparing all the documents. And we are going to try to, in this period, to have this questionnaire. And I hope I was going to ask you when we see in Valencia, because we are still trying to pick up with the project. Are these all questionnaires that you are talking all about are going to be, we as a partner, we can use it for our participants? This is a question, Noemi. The questionnaire that are preparing now, are we going to have the opportunity to use it for our households that we want to make to put them as our stakeholder, as our participants? Are we going to use it? Is this for everybody?
But you mean the evaluation questionnaire? Which questionnaire?
The evaluation questionnaire and the questionnaires that you're talking in these meetings that I had opportunities to be part of. Is this for everybody?
Yes. Okay. This is a questionnaire. This is a questionnaire for the evaluation framework, and it's passed at the beginning of the project, after 6 months, after 12 months, and a follow-up after 18 months. So it's 4 questionnaires to gather feedback of the project, and it's passed to participants, to participants in both control group and intervention group.
Yeah. Okay. Because we still don't have this participant group and control group. We are going to make these 2 groups in a while as we are working on the project, and that is why I said that we are still picking up, and we are in in the process of realization of the project, we hope that we are going to be a step together with you, and we are going to have this participant group and control group. But for now, we are just going for first to make a questionnaire for the citizens of the city of Skopje, as we mentioned in the action plan in the book.
Okay.
Yeah, that is difference between us and the pilots, because we still don't have intervention group and we still don't have a control group. And now we're just keep picking up experiences from new cities that already work on these interventions. Yeah.
Okay, Emilia, this is fine. I mean, your case is slightly different from the others, of course, because you're not going to implement now your program. Just do as if, and to have your plan just outline it. Just you were going to, but of course you don't have to have the participants or anything. Actually, none of the pilots have already, well, except for the ones who have some interventions such as work improvement, but in Valencia we don't have yet our control group, an intervention group, the participants. So anyway, just little by little, yeah, I'm sure you will catch up. Don't worry.
Yeah, I think that little by little, and we are on all the meetings since I start to work on the project. As you know, we are new on the project. I think that little by little we are going to pick up the steps with other pilots.
Yes, I can see that, Emilia. Sure.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so last one is Valencia. So Arturo.
Yes, in Valencia we have the smart meters everywhere by law, so we can access them. Also because we have an agreement with a company which can access that only with a consent form, and we don't need participants to register on the platform, so it's very useful. But anyway, we will try to collect bills, invoices. So we will have to gather all the possible information and then contrast all the energy, all the information sources. And about the questionnaire that you shared, we feel it's okay. We can ask for everyone. Also because we have energy coaches on the process, so it's easier. It's not on the participant hands.
Okay, yeah. So then the idea is to have access to the meters through this company, right? That access direct to the.
That's a software tool that we have on the energy office.
Yes. Okay, and you have the consumption and also the bills separately, right? Because this company doesn't provide you with the
money value, no.
Yeah. Okay, and they're the bills separately. Okay. And what about this option of monitoring the energy efficiency implementation?
Every month.
Okay. Yeah.
We have to first define who's going every month and the available resources. I think it's a good idea, but we don't know if there's available time for them. Yeah.
Okay, and I have a question, Arturo. What about? I mean, you in your presentation you show that you have made an evaluation of the savings, etc. How do you do this evaluation? It's a self-declaration of participant, or it's a potential savings?
Well, you ask for their average spending in energy and money, and then you make a simple calculation. But you just ask. We don't have a real information.
Okay.
We're not contrasting bills.
Okay. Great, thank you. I can see a question from Cohen.
Yeah, thanks. But it's not so much a question as more of a reflection. Seeing that most of the pilots told about the way they want to gather information and what the challenges are. And I remember that you mentioned in the beginning in your presentation that we need to make comparison between pilots. But I think the first comparison that is necessary is between the control group and the group with interventions. That's the most important comparison. So I think we should not try to put too much effort in comparing the different pilots, but focus on the fact that we will not be able to get all data from all the households, because it's not a perfect world, and the advisory board knows it, the commission knows it. So I think the most important comparison is what happens in the households control group experiment, and we should not forget that if we elaborate like periodically on why we cannot have this perfect world, the commission will understand. The most important thing is why do several households have a better life because of our interventions. That's what they're interested in. So I think we should not put too much effort in trying to compare everything and distill every type of different measure that's possible, but make sure we don't forget to look at control group and experiment group and less between pilots.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Cohen. Yes, I completely agree with that. And actually this simplifies a little bit the things, because yes, it gives us more freedom to put different questions maybe per pilot, or for example, the questions that have also been raised about unit measures, for example, about wood collected, or so maybe it doesn't have to be the same between all pilots, just having the same ones for control group and intervention group, so you can have a comparison. Okay, yeah, but also as a small reflection about this and the frequency of readings. I don't know if you were addressing this or not, but I still think having monthly measures, it's important, because even if you only want to compare control and intervention group, if you don't have every monthly measure, it's very hard, because the control group, as I was saying before, control group can be recruited. I mean, control group and intervention group, the participants will be recruited at a completely different time. So you will have just 4 measures for each participant in completely different periods of the year. So I think it's hard to get something out of this. So yeah, my idea, yes, is that, yeah, as long as it's the same between control group and intervention group, yes, I think it will be fine.
And even then, it's very viable to say it's impossible to have the same type of readings, because there are so many different moments in time that households enter the project. So that's also a viable reason not to be able to compare everything. I think, but that's something we can also ask the advisory board maybe next time, because they also have experiences in this.
Yes, definitely.
To ask them. Because if we have the backup of the advisory board saying, yes, it is indeed too difficult to compare it, and it's not realistic in practice to have every month's readings, then that's a very viable cause of not trying to do that. Although yes. I do think it would be very nice, but it is very difficult to do that.
Okay, yes, I think it's a good idea also, yeah, to consult the advisory board. And of course, the opinion of work package 4, it's super important here as well, because what are we going to do with this data? How are we going to process them? It has to make sense, of course, yeah. Okay, thank you, Cohen. I think there was another question, maybe Hans, or no? Okay. Is there any other comment or question? Okay, so I think we are done. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm sorry we cannot, well, we haven't still made the decisions on how to collect the data, but as I said before, this is a process, and we are starting this process. We are in the phase of knowing what is exactly the case of each pilot and try to adapt. Also, we will inform you, we will meet after this meeting. We will meet with Work Package 4, maybe also with the other partners that have been involved, maybe TNO, Valencia, Energía, as it is, from the start of this energy consumption study. And we will continue thinking of this, and then we will inform you. All this, of course, has a lot of implications in the platform, because how the data is going to be introduced in the platform depends on which data what we want to collect, and also with data protection also aspects, because which stakeholders are going to be involved with which data. So it has to be a teamwork, speaking with different partners, and we will keep you informed. Okay, we will do as best as we can, take into account that it is complicated, and also, yes, it has been very. We hope it has been interesting for you, the cases of TNO and Valencia que Iba Energía. I think they are available if you have any doubt on how they do things. They can answer you, and that's it. The recording will be available in the share repository. Okay, so thank you very much, and bye.